The little boy's scream cut through the air like glass. "They took my mum," he cried, his tiny fists pounding the gravel as cars sped past without stopping. Tank, the leader of the biker crew, froze mid. His helmet still hung from one hand, but his heart had already dropped. The boy couldn't have been more than 7, barefoot, shaking, his face streaked with dirt and tears. "Who took her?" Tank asked, crouching to meet his eyes. The boy sniffed, pointing toward an old blue van disappearing down a dirt road. "Those men, they pushed her in. She was just trying to help me find food." Tank turned sharply toward his crew, 5 men who looked rough from the outside, leather jackets, tattoos, and boots, but their faces changed in an instant. "Jake, take the kid," Tank ordered. "The rest of you, followed that van." Engines roared to life again, this time not for a ride, but a rescue. The boy, still trembling, clung to Jake's arm. "Please don't let them hurt her," he whispered. Jake swallowed hard. "We won't, kid, not on my watch." As the bikers sped down the narrow road, dust clouding behind them, Tank's mind raced. He'd seen things like this before: abductions, desperation, but never this close to home. The van turned onto an abandoned service road that led to the outskirts of an old factory. Tank signaled, cutting his engine, and the others followed. "Stay low," he said. They moved quietly through the weeds until they saw a blue van parked beside a rusted building. 2 men stood outside, arguing. She screamed. "Man," he said, "this would be quick." One snapped, "com." The other kicked the van's door shut. "Just tie her up. We'll figure it out later." Inside, Tank could hear muffled crying. The woman, he motioned to his crew, split up. They circled the van like wolves, silent but ready. When Tank gave the signal, 3 of them lunged, grabbing one man and knocking him to the ground. The other pulled a knife, but before he could swing, Tank's fist sent him crashing into the dirt. "Where is she?" Tank growled. The man coughed, blood on his lip. Inside, in the back, Tank yanked open the van's back door and froze. Inside, a woman sat tied to a seat, wrists bruised, but her eyes, those eyes were steady, unbroken. She couldn't have been older than 30. Her clothes were torn, but her dignity wasn't. "Ma'am, you're safe now," Tank said, cutting her free. She looked at him, her lips trembling. "My son, is he okay?" Tank smiled slightly. "He's safe. He found us." Tears filled her eyes, but she held them back. "Thank you," she whispered. They led her out as sirens wailed faintly in the distance. "Someone must have called 911. Jake arrived a moment later, the little boy sprinting ahead. "Mom," he cried, throwing himself into her arms. She dropped to her knees, clutching him like she'd never let go again. The bikers looked away, giving them a moment. Even Tank's rough face softened. When the police arrived, they took the kidnappers into custody. One officer turned to Tank. "You guys could have gotten yourselves killed." Tank shrugged. "Kid said someone took his mom. We just listened." The officer nodded slowly, almost respectfully. "You did good." Later, as the chaos settled, the woman approached the bikers. "I don't even know your names," she said softly. Tank handed her a water bottle. "Doesn't matter. Just glad you're both safe." She looked down, tears glistening again. "My name's Alicia. That's my son, Marcus. We've been living in our car since I lost my job. I went to that motel to ask for work. Those men offered food, and then..." She couldn't finish. Tank put a hand on her shoulder. "You don't have to explain." The boy tugged at his mom's sleeve. "Are we gonna be okay now?" Alicia smiled weakly. "Yeah, baby. Tank and his crew stood in silence. The sun was setting behind them, the sky painted orange and gold. Jake pulled something from his pocket, a small patch, the insignia of their group, the Iron Saints. He knelt beside Marcus. "You're one of us now, little man," he said with a grin, handing him the patch. "You saved your mom." Marcus looked at it with wide eyes. "I did, yeah," Tank said. "You were brave enough to ask for help. That's what heroes do." Alicia's lips trembled again, but this time it was gratitude, not fear. Over the next few days, the story spread through town. News outlets called it the biker rescue. But Tank didn't care for the attention. He just knew that night had changed something in him and in all of them. A week later, Tank rode back to the same road where it all began. He found the broken Riverbend motel sign still standing. Parked nearby was a small car, Alicia's. Marcus waved from the window. Tank smiled, walking over. "You two settling in, okay?" Alicia nodded. "Better than okay. A local diner hired me. And I heard you run a charity for kids." Tank chuckled. "We try." "Well," she said, glancing at her son, "maybe we can help. I owe you my life." Tank shook his head. "You don't owe us a thing. Just pay it forward." She smiled. "I plan to." As Tank turned to leave, Marcus called out, "Hey, Mr. Tank." He looked back. The boy was holding up the biker patch, stitched onto his little jacket. "Look, I'm one of you now." Tank grinned. "Yeah, you are." As the engine started and the bikes rolled away, Alicia watched them disappear into the horizon. She held her son close, whispering, "Not all angels have wings." Huh. He smiled up at her. "Some ride motorcycles." And for the first time in a long time, she believed the world still had good people in it. Because sometimes, heroes don't wear badges or suits. They wear leather and grease and stop when others keep driving. Love isn't about perfection. It's about showing up when someone needs you most.